I told. Top of the hour.
That is so cute.
Welcome to the Deschutes County Board of Commissioners work session meeting. This is 1 p.m. Monday, August 18th, 2025. I guess I'm August 18th. Yeah,
I think it is.
I missed a month in there somewhere. First item is citizen input. Is there anybody for any item not on the agenda? Anybody with the raised hand feature? Seeing none, item number one, work session.
I do want to say
Oh, yeah.
something. I had the
We
privilege.
gotta put an item in there for you every time.
Yes, well, I had the privilege of hearing from someone who had called our building department and they had not gotten back to him. So I thought I would call our building department and Whitney is following up for me, but the message on their machine in the building department, and this is summer time for people to do a lot of building, they said 4 days, expect a call back in 4 days. So we are tracking that down and we're going to find a way to serve you, our taxpayers, quicker than 4 days. Aren't we, Whitney? Yes.
Follow up and get some more information on that.
Yeah, I know, because this is when people are trying to get things, projects done. Because they're already talking about winter.
Thank you very much. Anything else?
That's it.
Seeing that, item number one, so this is work session in preparation for the presentation for county college.
Yeah.
Um,
Hello, for the record, I'm Kim Catcher, the Public Information Officer for Deschutes County. I just wanted to talk with you guys about County College, which starts next Tuesday. The presentation I printed out for you is similar to what we've had in the past. Just wanted to go through it and see if you wanted to divide up the slides, who's going to talk about what. One thing that's different this year is I'm gonna start with an icebreaker. And I would love it if you guys would participate in it as well, and it's just a bingo game that just have the participants discuss with one another, ask one another questions, just what town they live in, what sports they are interested in, that kind of thing, just to kind of break the ice, and so they're getting to know one another a little bit as they go through the process.
How long do you think that would take?
I'm going to give it like 15 minutes, so we'll just start right at the top of at 4 o'clock, and then from that we'll go into your presentation.
Yeah, I'll participate. Sounds good.
So then we would start with the introductions like we've done in the past. You guys can just go through and introduce yourselves and your backgrounds. Couple minutes, yeah. This year, the first session is just both the board and administration, so we're extending the time out a little bit more for you guys, so you'll have a little bit more interaction with the group. I've also provided you a schedule for all the sessions that we'll have the 10 weeks, what's happening in each of the 10 weeks, and then the participants, we have 23 people participating this year. So we just wanted to go through the slides and determine who's doing what. Or if there's anything that you want changes to. And I will make sure that the AOC video plays with audio beforehand. I know we've had issues with that in the past.
Well, we're just always on edge to know if it's gonna work or not, but it usually works.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes
Just the audio,
it's just
essentially.
kind of quirky, but we'll get it all set up and ready to go for sure this time.
So this will be the board of commissioners presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. Things that we'll just step through. Okay, the icebreaker's even in here. So we'll start this right away
Yes.
and then
So-
stop at the icebreaker slide.
Right, so in the beginning, it will be just. I'll probably just step in there and let everyone know what our agenda is for the evening, and then we'll talk a little bit about. what
Okay,
we're
so then you'll take the first two slides.
Yes,
There we go.
so we'll start with.
Yep.
We'll have the board start with the slide where the three of you are.
Yeah, got it.
So how What's the total time frame for our presentation? How long should we try to hold for questions?
I'm
I guess.
anticipating going for the first 15 minutes for the icebreaker. And then until 5:30, so you guys would have an hour and 15 minutes.
Well, we could put a slide in right away, it says anybody, because I know Commissioner Cheney liked the idea to see if somebody has something right away.
No, I like to make sure that there's time for questions. I don't feel like we have to ask people right away.
Okay.
But it's really important to deliberately save time for
Yeah.
questions, and that affects how long we
Yep.
spend on that presentation.
Well, we don't need to get through the whole kind of scope of what a county is and does, because that's what county college is about, so
Right.
that's more an introduction to county college. And. a
And your
general high
introduction as the
level, yeah.
policymakers, yeah.
Yep. Because usually we try to do a lot more content if we're talking to leadership. and
Right.
admin group.
So again, this is just what we've used in the past. It's very high level. If there's anything that you want to include, I can certainly do that.
The page you have for questions, I
Mhm.
think that roundabout looks way better than that now. Is there any way that we could maybe put a before and after or something?
I can do that. That is the, just so I'm clear, that's roundabout out by Costco, right?
No, isn't it out?
Oh,
It is?
okay, is it on 20?
I thought it looked like it was in Redmond there. No, Tumble.
We'll identify which one it is.
We'll identify and make it, we'll do the before and after. You want both before and after?
Well, I thought it might be kind of,
Sure.
more interesting. The way it looks right now, it's like it's half done. We've got coatings everywhere.
The endless work zone, we don't want that, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, let's think of our work zone, think of only. How many months has it only been going on? And yeah, and it's still all torn up.
Then stepping through the slides for the introduction. Well, you think you'll be driving the slides,
Yes,
the clicker,
yes,
so we'll just get through what the counties do quickly. Plays a video,
right,
whoever wants to just say this is an introduction to Oregon and Oregon's 36 counties. And then we can, yeah, so I was just, I guess we can make that short because we'll say that, and then basically next two slides is. Just a couple slides, just the quotes. Who wants to introduce the video?
But will it work?
Oh, yeah.
you gotta make sure of that,
Absolutely.
Like
Gotta make
practice
sure
3
of it.
times and then maybe it'll work. Right?
right? Exactly.
Sure, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay.
Sure, that's
Sure.
gonna, whatever.
You'll bring it the luck.
I don't know.
And then we can start breaking this into either slides or parts of slides for our signs.
I'd be happy to do the slide after the county services slide, or part of that.
I mean, my experience is, yeah, how about you do the slide, and then just right before we go on, if somebody needs to add a little, you know, just, and also. Just more content, but yeah, so Commissioner Chang can. Basically do that whole slide, or just pause to give somebody, that wants to drop anything in. Services and partnerships, I'll offer to do that one.
Okay.
And then, what I'd say, if somebody wants to add something right before we're done. And Commissioner Garrett, if you wanna work through the org chart a little bit. Mention the
sweet.
other elected officials and. Departments.
You all just basically introduced all the departments,
Mhm.
most of them.
Yeah, it's just good to see the structure.
Yes.
And then back to. Policy, legislative role, question, just all. We just break this into 3 parts if we want. 1, 2, 3.
Sure.
Sounds good.
So the three of us can stay on this slide and we'll go through it.
Did you want to divide up the bullets between the three of you or just all three address them at the same?
Well, let's, try to divide up the bullets, so let that flow here a little bit.
Right, you, first one,
Okay.
just going in order that you would do.
That's. Then Commissioner Jerry will wrap us up with quasi judicial.
Lovely. Okay.
Great,
Then we'll leave a whole half hour for question.
sounds good. And just so you know, an update, we have, we've been doing the videos. Presentations. So that is going well. Have most of the departments that are doing them in-house now, and so the participants I'll send them the video in advance of their session that they're going to. And they'll watch those, and so that they'll have more time to engage and ask questions, since sometimes we have a lot of groups
Yeah.
in at once. So the idea behind that is that they'll have more opportunity to really ask the questions and
It'd be way more interactive.
a lot more interactive, exactly, so.
Introductions of the video, Kim has been working with departments on, instead of just providing a presentation, really thinking about a two-way interactive opportunity that they might have to share with the participants, and it's been really neat to see what departments have come up with in terms of how they plan to engage participants in sort of different opportunities that come up within their department. I think that it's really going to change kind of the nature of County College, probably in a really positive way.
That is the goal. We'll see how it goes, so. All right, great,
Copy us on those video links or.
absolutely,
with us?
absolutely. I have them all on a YouTube channel. It's
Oh,
also
okay.
a unlisted channel. That the good thing is about it too, even though it addresses County College, a lot of these videos could be. If you have a constituent that has a question about an department, you can share that link with them so that they have a better understanding of how things operate.
That's.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So. Item number 2, work session in preparation for a public hearing on an application to rezone. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Audrey Stewart, Associate Planner. The item before you today is a work session to prepare for a public hearing that you're holding this Wednesday, August 20th. The applicant's requesting to change the zoning of the property from exclusive farm use to multiple use agricultural. And they've requested a concurrent change in the comprehensive plan designation from agriculture to rural residential exception area. The property to be rezoned contains 4 tax lots and it's 240 acres in size. The original subject property was 252 acres in size, and the applicant filed a modification of application to reduce the size of the subject property.
Your memo actually says 259. Is that wrong?
That's an excellent question, Commissioner. The cover sheet for their original applications listed 259. The tax lot acreage actually added up to 252.
Perfect. Okay, I'll correct this. Thanks. And thank you again for the psilocybin, all the work you did.
Thank you. Thanks, question. Because this zone change involves resource lands, Title 22, our procedures ordinance requires that the board holds their own de novo hearing. The applicant didn't request an exception to a statewide planning goal on the basis that this property doesn't meet the definition of agricultural lands. The subject property is developed with a photovoltaic solar farm, which is located between Highway 20 and Neff Road. This solar farm encompasses approximately 62 acres, and back in 2015, it received a conditional use permit and site plan review. One unique aspect of this zone change is that a solar array is not a permitted use under the proposed MUA 10 zoning. The applicant argued that a zone change can result in the creation of a non-conforming use, and the hearings officer agreed with their analysis. A second point to note is that the applicant did not undergo a site-specific soil study. Instead, they relied on the soil maps created by the Natural Resources Conservation Service. This NRCS mapping showed that the property is predominantly made up of 58C soils. This is a soil complex, so it includes a mix of class 6, class 7, and class 8 soils. The applicant provided a memo from a certified soil scientist who provided additional information on the percentage of these different classes within this soil complex. And they concluded the property was predominantly class 7 and 8 soils, which are not considered suitable for farm use. A public hearing was held before a hearings officer on May 9th. And then on July 9th, the hearings officer issued their recommendation of approval. And a copy of that recommendation is included in your meeting packet. 7 members of the public provided comments leading up to the initial hearing. During the open record period, both the applicant and Central Oregon Land Watch submitted additional written materials. And since that hearings officer recommendation was mailed, 2 new public comments have been received. All of these are uploaded to the record. And with that, I'm available for any questions from the board.
Looking at Dial, it looks like there's 2 parcels on the south side of Highway 20 and the map just shows 1. And I just clicked that Dial and it shows 2 halves of that southern portion. So that's makes up 4 parcels.
Correct. And I created this red outline that you see on the location map. A limitation of Dial is you can only select 1 tax lot at a time. So you're correct. That area to the south of Highway 20.
It's just 2 parcels.
It's 2
That's all I
parcels.
know. And then the 300 parcel is the notch north of Highway 20 next to Torkelson, which is under the same ownership. That was in the application, then they took it out.
Correct. That's about 12 acres, and that is that property located right at the corner on just north of Highway 20.
That weird little sliver that's farther up. Is that Erickson Road?
That is 1 tax lot. It has kind of an odd configuration just because the road right of way bisects it, but it's 1 tax lot.
You're saying that the little sliver really belongs to the big one with the solar panels?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very.
The kind of placement of this big photovoltaic solar array in the middle of one of the tax lots is interesting, and I wanted to. I was wondering if there was more history, like if we get a little bit of history about that solar farm, like when it was built. Key, yeah, I think that's a key piece. When it was built, and I guess what I'm trying to get at a handle on is that these things are built, the equipment basically has a functional life, 20 or 30 years, and then that's typically the moment when people say like, oh, all right, this is done. We're gonna move it to a new land use now, or like time to upgrade to the, to new solar panels or something like that. So I wanted to get a sense of where this project is in that life cycle. And I also, to the extent that any of those expectations or, anticipations are laid out in application materials that were submitted for this project, the solar project back in the day. Would love to just get a little bit of that background. Did they, if it's in any of the materials, did they have to did they have to demonstrate they have a power purchase agreement for 25 years? And if so, like what does that run them to? Just yeah, I want to get a sense physically of how long that might be a functional project, and also kind of what any obligations that they that we know about.
And I'll let the applicant speak a bit more to that. Where they did touch on this a bit in their application materials was actually in their transportation analysis. They estimated, I believe it was around a 20-year life frame for this. The solar farm itself, I'd have to check the date of construction. It received approval in 2015 and then went through a modification of that approval in 2016. So about 2016 is when they had their final land use approval.
And, you know, is this one connected to the other ones that are in the vicinity, or are they discrete projects, or?
It's a separate legal property.
But are they under the same kind of solar project or? Separate?
Yeah, I would have to let the applicant speak to kind of the ownership model from a development perspective. Because it is its own legal lot, it could be developed independently of surrounding lots.
Yeah. 2016, 20-year lifespan. That was one of my question areas. I would also, in addition to the maps, in the hearings officer, recommendation and the board packet, I would love to see a couple of other maps. You know, one of the primary purposes or goals behind MUA 10 is to provide this orderly transition from urban to rural. So it would be good to get a sense of the broader context, both current land uses and, I mean, you know, this kind of just, you know, aerial map kind of map would be great, but just kind of blowing up the zoom down a little bit so we can see where the city was, where the farms are, and other things, you know, where a lot of the other rural residences are. So I'd love to see a map like that, and I'd also like to see a map. You know, there's a lot of explanation of, you know, oh, there's a lot of MUA in this neighborhood. But then there's also so many of you, and then there's also, you know, this and that. It would be great to just kind of see that on a laid out on a map. You know, here's all the MUA, here's all the EFU, here's, you know, anything else in that area. You know, in relation to the city, you know, which, you know, it's all like, you know, completely different kinds of zoning. Because it's hard to kind of imagine what a transition is supposed to look like without kind of knowing, you know, what you're transitioning from and to.
And I can bring that to the hearing if that would be helpful, a sort of large printout showing surrounding zoning and then proximity to like the urban growth boundary.
That'd be great, yeah. I mean, one additional piece of that, I mean, a number of these, a lot of the MUA and rural residential around there was very recently rezoned. So, I mean, if you could throw a couple of dates on the map too, if, you know, for things that were rezoned in the last, you know, 5-10 years, to their current, that would be helpful.
I can produce a sort of localized one for that. A bigger picture, our GIS staff are working on creating a more kind of comprehensive countywide map showing those zone change applications.
That'd be great. Yeah, I mean, just a clip of that would be excellent. And yeah, so 2 maps would be, those 2 additional maps would be great. Just again, for evaluating these questions of that, you know, transition, the orderly transition.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Reading the report from the hearings officer, that I followed the concept about the soils. You know, this not being a on-site soil survey, but just the NRCS information, so a soils report, just acknowledging that you know, it's gone back and forth, and this is first time we're seeing a rezone with that kind of justification, my understanding.
It's an approach we hadn't seen before, at least for recent applications, and it was something staff teed up to the hearings officer to make findings on. And the hearings officer had a pretty detailed analysis on this soils approach.
Well, that's good to understand that it was kind of a novel justification that staff saw. I said, hey, make sure you focus on this, right, to the hearings officer. That's interesting, so. Yeah, all right. I was just, I don't think I have any other questions, just acknowledging that.
It was fascinating, different read, and then looking at the chart on page 49, the top of the page. Actually, only 52% of the property is in class 7 and 8, according to that chart.
Correct. And so the way that that 52% was reached was they took the 58C soil type, and their soil scientist essentially broke that out into class 6, class 7, and 8, and then distributed that, accounting for the other. There's also 68A and 36A and 36B soil types on the property. So that was their conclusion overall.
One other piece of the kind of more regional aerial photograph map. It would highlight the irrigation canals in the region. It's kind of sure those are colored. There's all the canal piping that's been happening in the last few years. There's actually new water that's available in the region. The Arnold Irrigation District right now they're literally auctioning off 200 acres of water rights. They were never able to serve before when their canal was not piped, but now that they actually can deliver the water that they have rights to, they're in a better position to support that. So understanding where the irrigation canals are in relation to these properties, helps us to evaluate the question of water availability.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Anything else? So we're setting up for a hearing on Wednesday.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner.
At this time, other items, anything else that's not on the agenda? It's, I've been busy since last week, but not as much counting now. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, I was busy, but nothing county wise. Other than a community cleanup on Saturday morning, a camp just south of, just west, but just down of Newberry Estates and Pioneering Saturday morning, up a big abandoned fifth wheel, and it was BLM was out there. Our hauling company helped and some volunteers, so we kind of did an extra cleanup on our property because there was just a last little bit of RV and garbage set up at that property. So thanks for the community members that joined us. It wasn't a big call for a big cleanup, it was just a final cleanup on our property on Saturday morning.
Well, I wanted to raise this issue of a Confederate flag being flown in the temporary safe stay area. That is on county property, it's not on the city portion. And a number of constituents have just contacted me and asked, what are we doing about that? If I'm following correctly from the city legal people, the thought process is, well, the way to address something like that would be to have it in the rules for the temporary safe stay area that we've adopted. There are no rules about speech, flags, anything like that. So I wanted to pose the question to the other two commissioners about opening up the rules for the temporary safe stay area and making a modification. Something like no flags, no flag poles, something like that. Which I don't necessarily I don't want to impinge on anybody's speech, but asking that there's just no flags in a very safe stay area, seems like a reasonable way to navigate that.
I looked at some response from legal. Probably not Ken, but. Did we need to do that? I'll never forget when I was in Dripping Springs, Texas in 2007, my husband's brother had died and we were at the cemetery. And I got my degree in history and I think there must have been like 600 small Confederate flags at that cemetery. I mean, when you think 600,000 Americans died in the Civil War, and thank goodness President Lincoln brought our country back together again. So I don't know how much effort would it be to amend or add this on?
I will say county legal did not review and approve the original rules and regulations, given that county legal did not support the TSSA initially, as far as a legal land use.
Right, it's not legal, it's illegal.
You know, asking us to weigh in on modifying the very rules and
The
regulations. that we
illegal
just
land
approved.
rules.
The other
But
concern
we,
is anytime,
we, the county, did adopt those rules.
you did, yes,
For the temporary safe stay.
but asking us about a modification, I don't know. I think anytime you start getting into speech, obviously asking for no flags, but then the next question is what if it comes in a different form? And then are you gonna try to change whatever form that is, no signs, no this, whatever it is. But anytime you try to regulate speech, obviously it's under a strict scrutiny standard. And I would caution you in doing any type of regulation really surrounding freedom of speech.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I'm not supportive of putting rules like this in. This could be kind of, he said, she said, go back and forth and it could get real complicated, you know. This is a long-term unsanctioned camping area, which we call the temporary safe stay area, which has an end date now. Yeah, I mean, I support that free speech opportunity and I don't, apologize that it offends some folks, but I'm not too worried about it.
I'll just put on the record that I would like us to open up those rules and make a modification. The people who've contacted me so far have been pretty concerned about this. This is not a Civil War cemetery. This is, where, people who died fighting for a certain cause, might feel some attachment to that. This is nowhere near any of the Civil War battle action that occurred, and it is the Confederate flag is a very important symbol to a lot of people all around, and I don't necessarily think it's that we need to invite that kind of that we need to invite that kind of association, the emotions associated with it to our community by allowing the display of flags.
Free speech is free speech. Okay, so thanks for that discussion, though. I understand that it's a topic. I have gotten some calls on it. So.
I would like to go back to Dripping Springs. That was not where a battle was. It's right out of Austin. And I wonder if they still have those hundreds and hundreds of Confederate flags, because they were just small and teeny, but they were definitely there. So
But these are people who died in the Civil War.
no, this is a Dripping Spring. It's a small little community out of Austin, and I don't believe we had any wars over there. It's just, they had it. It was everywhere, and I remember, it was definitely impactful. I do have two things to bring up. I was at a power line placement meeting in Palview Thursday evening, and they're really hoping that Crook and Jefferson or excuse me, Crook and Deschutes can get together on that placement. And so more to come. They're supposed to be sending me a map that they have been working on. Ryan Barney was there from representing Crook County, and then Emerson Levy was there, and Nikki Breeze Iverson. So, and then the community, because they're really concerned because of all those different A, B, C, D, E, F. All these properties now, if you're gonna sell them, that fact that that power line possibility is hanging over them, and it's impacting people's property values. So they would like to get a decision probably sooner rather than later.
Kirk County were the ones who asked for the configuration that goes east like that. I mean, you know.
Right,
So they were the ones who asked for that in the first place, and now they're, are they saying
No.
they're changing their mind now, or are they just
No.
trying to pretend that they didn't ask for that?
they're trying to minimize the impact and figure out where the stations need to go, and then how do we bring it across. And using existing power line places is really what I believe that the goal was, the bottom line goal was of that meeting, so I'm sure more to come. And then we have the health council meeting also in La Pine. Thank you to Mid-State Electric for hosting the meeting there. The health council is dealing with the impacts of the Medicaid funding through COH, through Pacific Source. So that was an interesting meeting, and more to come next month.
Anything else?
Do we wanna have a joint meeting with the Cook County Board of Commissioners?
On the power line?
Sure.
Yeah, I think so, but we also need to talk to the city of Prineville, because it was suggested that perhaps the city of Prineville would be happy with like the station being there, and anyway. Yeah, it would be a good idea.
Well, but this is a proposal by our utility company, wanting to connect Redmond, transfer station, to Chiloquin. Multiple routes are being proposed, so they haven't proposed a specific route in front of us, so what would the meeting be? We're gonna tell them how to design it before they design
There's
it.
alternative A, B, C, and D.
And don't forget the G.
Kirk County asked for a specific one, and now the people who are in the pathway of that alignment through Cook County are expressing outrage about
Yeah.
that, and it sounds like that county commission is changing their tune.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
And
Yeah, one
And
commissioner.
if they, I mean, and we experienced a tremendous amount of pressure after the Cook County Commission adopted that, that option, to do the same. Right, and so if they want to change, so we're basically responding to them, what they're doing. Whether we like it or not, so I'd rather have an upfront discussion about it rather than, be chasing the tail of the dog.
But I was just, the concept is there's no application in front of us, these are proposed routes.
Yeah.
And so,
There will never be an application in front of us. This is not our decision. We have no decision-making authority in this, which is the other reason why it was silly that people were trying to drag county government into it in the first place. But the Cook County Board of Commissioners decided they wanted to weigh in on this. And then we had to follow their advocacy for that route. And so we are going to be, we're responding to them regardless. So I would rather have a real conversation about it instead of be trying to chase them around. And no, we don't have any, there will never be a citing, there will not be an application in front of us that we approve or reject. That's the way this works.
No, but our recommendations do carry some weight, so that, I think that's important. And I think next week they're going, Representative Levy and Breeze Iverson will be meeting with someone from the state power and just kind of getting a little bit of feedback, so to be continued.
And if we're gonna bring so, yeah, if there's gonna be recommendations, if our recommendation is going to be asked for after their recommendation is made. I'd like us to talk to them about it upfront rather than chasing them around. And I would also suggest if we're gonna loop the city of Prineville in, that the city of Redmond, where, all of the alignments that are being investigated or originate at the city of Redmond be in the loop as well.
What about maybe adding this to a COIC board meeting and publish it as, or, during our regular scheduled, meeting schedule, we meet monthly. Make it a topic and then have multiple elected officials show up. How about that? Does that mean that's what COIC is, that council of governments, multi-agencies get together? Won't affect everybody, but that may be a good place to have discussion.
When is next COIC going?
It's like the first Thursdays, so about 2 or 3 weeks.
I'm not sure if I'll be able to make that.
Well, it's just an idea of how to get multiple jurisdictions in the same room. I'm just thinking that's what we do already, so maybe the way to
Well,
do
what
it.
they were
It's a
hoping to
reasonable
do,
idea, it's just,
instead of like
People
taking
actually
it
make-
more north and, sweeping across like that Smith Rock area, they were saying that actually if you could go from that substation by Prineville and come across where the existing line is to Bend and then bring it north, but the bottom line is that the end result, it's supposed to get to Boardman. So it, more to be.
no, this specific
Blueprint.
power blueprint, this is taking it from Redmond south. Deep into Klamath County.
No, it starts at Klamath, but the end result is Boardman, that's what.
So that's
they're-
another
That's
Yeah.
another connection,
Yeah.
but we're talking about the alignment for the
Well,
blueprints
Well, as I
south
say,
500 kV
the
line.
COIC, we're all set up with video too, so it could be one agenda item on, as you say, on first Thursday, but, it'd just be a very specific time.
Great,
That's going to be
Yeah, so it's
September 4th.
And I haven't mentioned it to COIC, I just came up with that, but it is multi-jurisdictional, we're all at the table.
great, and I did ask for they were supposed to send me the map so we could get it printed, so on the map, it shows everything in different colors and hopefully. Anne will get that email to me today or tomorrow. Then I could get it printed for us.
So as I
It
say,
was just a much better map than what was in my file from what we were given.
If COIC can do that on their agenda, then I can at least get there by Zoom.
yeah, okay, so we'll try to do that, as I said, it'll be an outcome of this meeting. Very good.
Okay.
Anything else for this meeting? I know we have an executive session.
Deschutes County Board of Commissioners will now convene an executive session pursuant to ORS 192.660. The specific authorization for this executive session is ORS 192.660 subsection 2D, which allows the board to meet in order to discuss labor negotiations. Designated staff and the media are allowed to remain during the executive session. However, the media may only report that the board met in executive session and the identified basis for meeting in executive session. Recording devices are not permitted. No final decisions will be made. And at the conclusion, we will open the door and invite the audience back to the room.
So we're out of executive session at this time, to proceed as discussed. Anything else for this meeting? Seeing none, meeting adjourned.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.